My advice to a couple preparing for marriage at this exact time all the things that happen in preparing for a wedding is not to get too caught up in the wedding, but focus on the marriage. I spent a good deal of time, due to my job, unfortunately, away from my fiancée during those critical months leading up to the wedding. And I spent most of that time, if not all of it, reading a lot of books on marriage, studying the theology of the body, the things that the church was going to require from me. It was a very big lifestyle change, going from being a single guy and basically living with a bunch of other guys in a small apartment, and then suddenly becoming a husband and a year and something later a father. And so I had a lot of homework to do, basically, and that it's very easy to get caught up in all the things that are going on leading up to the wedding, and it's important to keep an eye on the ball and study what's really important, the marriage.
For myself, and one of the most important things that I learned in my marriage, as a nugget of advice that I could give, would be to learn to develop your intimacy with your spouse. Learn to talk to each other in a way of honesty that you may never have known to do before. I didn't know how to do it. I had to learn how to be honest. I had to learn how to look into myself and try to understand myself. What it did for our relationship, I can't even express to you what it did for our relationship, because for the first time, Gene finally felt like I let him in, and our relationship flourished to all lengths, just by my opening up to him and us actually getting to know each other for the first time when I finally did. And this was many, many, many years after we got married that this happened. Don't wait so long, please.
I have two practical pieces of advice for those who are getting married. The first one, and this just amazed me when he did it, I never expected it, but everything I do in the house that's part of my role as a wife, he thanks me for it. Everything. He thanks me when I do the dishes. He thanks me when I clean the toilet. He thanks me. He's like, thank you for doing what you do. And that just amazed me. It blew my mind that this is my role. This is my job. Why are you thanking me? But it was important for him not to take me for granted. And that has made a tremendous difference in our marriage. And the second piece of advice I have, especially for the women, do not talk about your spouse in a negative light with other people. And I found that women get together and they have a tendency to talk about their husbands, and my husband doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. And I always try to tell everybody how wonderful my husband is and what he does do, and not focus on the negative. Don't focus on what he doesn't do. Focus on what he does do for you.
If I were to give a couple any one nugget of advice, it would be to be open and honest with each other at all levels. I like to use the expression that we have to learn to undress our hearts and our minds as well as our bodies. We would not think of making love with our clothes on, okay? And we should not think about making love with our hearts covered and our minds covered, okay? Learn how to speak honestly and comfortably, okay, and still dignify yourself and the other person. Be kind in what you say, but always say what needs to be said.
For all husbands out there and future fathers, advice I would give them is just spend time with their children every day, because they grow up so fast. And being a father is probably the greatest joy of my life, and it will be one of yours. And if you don't take that time, if you get caught up in your career or in your workshop or the chores around the house, you're going to miss that special time in your child's life, and it's the time that they need. Because they see their mom all day long, but when daddy comes home, that's the time for you to really shine and make a difference in their lives.
Well, my father gave me a very good piece of advice when I was dating, actually when we were engaged. And he said to me, how much effort do you think you need to put into a marriage to have a good marriage? And everyone always says, well, marriage is 50-50, you know. And so my father said, no, you put in 100%. You always put in 100%, not 50-50. So that is definitely a good piece of advice, and we've done that, I think, over the years. And it's the best advice my dad ever gave me.
The best piece of advice I could give is to forgive your spouse quickly. Don't harbor grudges, don't go angry for long periods of time, but be able to forgive.
The one piece of advice that we would give to any couple considering marriage is always say you're sorry and always forgive. Always. There's no time when that's not appropriate. Be humble, apologize, ask for forgiveness, and forgive.
I would say, if I was giving advice to someone who is getting married, is take very seriously what you are about to do. We actually went to counseling before we got married because we had some family issues, and we actually ended up postponing our marriage 6 months because that was what was suggested to us. And the day that came, that was supposed to be our wedding date, it was awful. But those extra 6 months were just such a growth time for us. And I think it really was a key to really take it seriously, what you're about to do, and be willing to postpone it if you have to.